The boy simply left a package at the door, yet the police treated him like a thief.
Oh, hold up.
It's pretty decent, Chris. No, that's me. The officer's sudden movement instantly terrified the boy. Worried that his gift would be taken away, he anxiously tried to leave, but the officer roughly stops him and even handcuffs him. Without giving him a chance to explain, the officer forcibly detained him at the station. The boy had no idea what he had done wrong. Looking at the sobbing boy, the officer still took the time to mock him triumphantly.
Making this harder than it has to be, son.
The officer thought he had cracked a theft case and was fantasizing about a commendation from the sheriff. Unexpectedly, the boy is released the very next second. Two older officers not only treated the boy with warm hospitality, but also invited him to watch a ball game. This left the young officer completely baffled. Instead of receiving a commendation, he had to write a reflection report and was even required to accompany the boy to deliver the Christmas presents to the neighbors. The boy's name is James. Born with an intellectual disability, he is in his early 20s but possesses the mental capacity of an 8-year-old. His favorite thing to do every day is to push his shopping cart through the streets and alleys. His eccentric behavior often invites verbal abuse from passersby. The world is not kind to James, so his personality has become cautious and timid. Only when he sees the green grass of the football field does his heart find a moment of relaxation. James often hides outside the field, secretly peeking at the players' athletic figures. He fantasizes that one day he too can wear a jersey and run freely on the field. But when reality pulls him back, James can only leave awkwardly with his cart, knowing there is an insurmountable gap between him and the players. But fate sometimes works in unexpected ways. Johnny accidentally kicks the ball out of the field, and it lands right in front of James. Seeing this well-known fool, Johnny immediately orders him to fetch the ball in a mocking tone.
Yeah, I'd stop. Why don't you try picking the ball up? Yeah, you dummy. What, you deaf? Yeah, pick it up. Hey, go.
James misunderstands Johnny's intention, thinking the football is a gift for him, so he happily puts the ball into his shopping cart. Seeing this, Johnny instantly flies into a rage. However, Coach Jones reveals a forgiving smile. He had noticed James long ago. Every time they trained, James would secretly watch from outside with a mesmerized look in his eye. So Jones doesn't mind giving James a football. He believes it is a gift James deserves. Witnessing Jones's favoritism, Johnny feels a surge of jealousy. The next day, when Jones drives to the field, he finds that James is not there. But to his surprise, the shopping cart is parked by the fence. Unbeknownst to him, James has been locked in the equipment shed by Johnny and the others, who are terrorizing him by throwing balls at the shed. Jones initially thinks the players are just goofing around, but the next second, he hears crying coming from the shed. The moment he pushes the door open, he sees James tied up. Jones rushes forward to untie him, but James is still in shock and refuses to let Jones near him.
You just want to look like a tape.
Once Jones frees him, James flees the scene in a panic. The players who pranked James receive punishment from Jones. But even the most brutal training cannot erase the scars on James's heart. From then on, whenever James passes the court, he unconsciously speeds up, not daring to stop and watch for even a moment. Watching that fleeing figure, Jones feels incredibly guilty, so he takes the initiative to talk to James. However, James mistakes Jones for wanting the football back and hurriedly tries to return it.
I don't want the football. Oh. I just want to tell you I'm sorry about what happened.
It is the first time someone has treated him so kindly, but this doesn't make James lower his guard. He still stands there frozen and terrified. Seeing this, the guilt in Jones's heart becomes heavier, so he invites James to join the training later. James doesn't agree immediately, but he doesn't refuse either. He just pushes his cart away. After walking a bit, James can't help but look back at Jones. Clearly, the invitation is very attractive to him. James still doesn't dare to get close to the players. He hides in the corner to watch them train as usual. Their agile steps and fearless charges deeply attract James's gaze. His focused expression reveals his love for the sport. The longing in James's eyes is exactly what Jones hopes to see in every player. To get James to join the team, Jones specifically asks the assistant coach to bring him a bottle of water to build a relationship. But as the assistant approaches, James becomes terrified. The assistant sees James's panic, immediately raises his hands, places the water bottle gently in the cart, and walks away. Jones watches James drink the water from a distance. Seeing his guard drop slightly, Jones walks over with a smile and opens the gate to the training ground.
Won't you come on in? Got some hamburgers coming. Get your buggy, come on.
Jones perfectly gauges James's 8-year-old intellect. His words contain no mockery, only affection. This approach successfully bridges the distance between them. Since James has never revealed his name, Jones sees his obsession with radios and affectionately nicknames him Radio, generously giving him a radio as a gift. Radio is very happy, Seeing the time is right, Jones expresses his true intention, hoping Radio can join the team as an assistant. But Radio doesn't seem to hear him and keeps his head down, still fiddling with his radio. Helpless, Jones changes the subject and treats Radio to a burger as promised. Afterward, Jones drives Radio home and extends the invitation again.
Now, I hope you can come by practice tomorrow, all right? Same time. All right?
The next day, Radio arrives as promised. Jones announces the explosive news to everyone. Radio will now be the team assistant and train with them. Before starting the training, Jones specifically reminds the players to get along with Radio and that no more bullying is allowed.
And we are not going to have a problem with that.
Although Jones laid down the law, he couldn't completely restrain the players. Some rudely knock the ball out of Radio's hands, some push him down from behind, some hit him in the head with the ball, and one even tries to tackle him but ends up falling himself. Radio holds no grudges. He carefully helps the player up and encourages him not to lose heart. Radio seems to take on all the chores in the team. When the players fight on the field, Radio becomes their most enthusiastic cheerleader. Whenever the assistant coach issues tactical instructions, he stands silently by the side, learning diligently. When the players fail, he inspires every member with firm belief. Infected by him, the players regroup and wash away the shame of defeat. Gradually, Radio's name resounds throughout Hanna High School, and everyone knows the team has recruited a strange player. This arouses the dissatisfaction of parents, who unanimously believe Radio shouldn't stay on the team as it affects training. Even Principal Daniels is furious, thinking Jones isn't genuinely helping a disabled person, but using him as a gimmick for attention. The doubts from the players' parents and colleagues hurt Jones deeply, because he never intended to use Radio for anything. Radio not only loves football, but also works hard for the team. So Jones wants to give this intellectually disabled boy a chance to shine in his youth. But when he plans to take Radio to a football game, Daniels forbids him from getting on the school bus or entering the venue because Radio is not a student of the school. Faced with this, Jones feels powerless and ultimately has to confess the situation to Radio, apologizing profusely.
Really sorry. Staying yet, but didn't catch on, believe me.
Watching the school bus drift away in the rain, Radio is hurt once again. He can't understand Jones's difficulties, nor can he understand why the world treats him this way. The pain life gives him is like this rainstorm. Although it comes fiercely, it can never extinguish the enthusiasm in his heart. Even if he can't go to the scene to cheer for his team, Radio has his own way of fighting alongside the players. He listens to the real-time broadcast on the radio while making corresponding moves on the rainy field. He loves this sport incomparably, yet the wind blows down his beliefs again and again, and regret descends on his heart like a sudden storm. As the news of the team's defeat comes from the radio, Radio stops his charge, deflating as if his soul has been extracted, collapsing lonely in the rainy night. But this disappointment comes suddenly, and leaves quickly because Jones has prepared a huge surprise for Radio. Jones first takes him for a big meal to make up for yesterday's pain, then tells Radio that for tonight's home game, he has decided to let him lead the team onto the field. Although this doesn't mean actually playing in the game, it excites Radio endlessly. Feeling the cheers of the whole stadium, this is an honor he has never had before, and a joy he has never experienced in his life. Due to overexcitement, Radio accidentally leaks the team's tactics. Although Jones stops him in time, the opponent has already made arrangements. They arrange two guards who easily dismantle Hanna High School's offense, causing them to lose their advantage. In the following game, they suffer from the referee's misjudgment, receiving a yellow card and being forced to retreat 15 yards. Facing such an unfair ruling, Jones immediately wants to argue, but he is penalized again for disrupting the game.
There's another penalty on Jones.
At this moment, Radio mimics Jones in criticizing the referee, resulting in another yellow card for the team, forcing them to retreat 45 yards. Hanna High School unsurprisingly loses the first half, and the players fall into a slump. The star player Johnny is so furious that he slams his helmet down onto the table. Seeing this, Radio hands him a football and actively cheers him on. Under Radio's encouragement, the gloom of the players' defeat is swept away, and they regain their confidence. This intellectually disabled boy seems to have a certain magic that helps the team be reborn when they are down. In the second half, the Hanna team executes one spectacular defense after another, and launches one thrilling attack after another. The seamless cooperation of the players shocks Jones, and the fans go crazy, cheering for the Hanna team. They win the game without surprise. In his joy, Jones gives the game ball to Radio to reward his special contribution to the team. Although they fought a hardy battle, Hanna High School misses the upcoming playoffs due to various trivial participation conditions. This is the team's own issue, but the parents blame the innocent Radio. They believe Radio's presence prevented normal training, leading to substandard results this season and the failure to qualify. Some parents even bluntly say that a fool like Radio shouldn't stay on the team and ruin the atmosphere. Facing overwhelming prejudice and doubt, Jones does not back down. He stubbornly keeps Radio on the team. However, in the following period, there are no games, and where Radio should go becomes a problem. Neither Jones nor Radio's mother, Maggie, wants Radio to go back to pushing a shopping cart and picking up trash in the streets. Looking at her lost son, Maggie walks over to comfort him.
We all knew the season was going to end sometime. Yeah, yeah. Well, look what you got. A football, and a sweatshirt. And look at this. Look at all of this. Look at that. Oh, that might go. Yeah.
A mother's care instantly soothes the uneasiness in Radio's heart. Moreover, his mother is not the only one who truly cares about Radio. To give Radio something to do during the off-season, Jones goes to great lengths to send him to the basketball team. As expected, his positive and optimistic personality is favored by the players, and with Radio around, the team is filled with laughter all day long. But Jones is not satisfied with this. He feels Radio shouldn't live in people's pity forever. He wants Radio to receive an education and live like a normal person. Jones brings him to his class. Faced with all kinds of new knowledge, Radio's desire to learn is unprecedentedly high. But Jones's unauthorized action causes dissatisfaction from Daniels. Perhaps due to her maternal instincts, she ultimately respects Jones's choice. Jones thinks everything is settled, but the school board believes Radio shouldn't mix with ordinary students, claiming he might lead them astray. Caught between Jones's firm arrangement and the school board's opposition, Daniels is in a dilemma. She doesn't want Radio to return to his wandering days, nor does she want her students to coexist with risk in their daily lives. But facts have proven that Radio is not a safety hazard, as his kind and optimistic character has long won the recognition of most residents in the town. On Christmas Day, Radio receives a cart full of blessings and gifts, which is strong proof that he is not dangerous. Jones also gives Radio a brand new radio, making Radio dance with joy, filling the room with a cheerful atmosphere. Maggie is curious why Jones does this. Jones simply says he likes doing good deeds. The next day, to return the residents' kindness, Radio prepares a shopping cart full of gifts and places them at everyone's door. Just as he finishes delivering gifts and returns home, Jones brings good news. After his and Daniel's tireless efforts, the school board finally agrees to enroll Radio, on the condition that he is strictly supervised and does not disrupt school order. Radio understands this opportunity is hard-won, so he tries his best to show his kindness and enthusiasm. At the bus stop, he greets classmates. In the hallway, he chats happily with teachers. At basketball games, he shouts encouragement for the team. Over time, students grow to like Radio's optimistic and kind performance. Teachers are also deeply attracted by his energetic temperament. Principal Daniels even lets him serve as the school announcer. His voice seems to have magic, always bringing laughter to the students. Everything seems to be developing positively, but someone is dissatisfied. Johnny lies, claiming Principal Daniels fell in the girls' locker room and needs Radio's help. Radio believes it without a doubt and anxiously rushes to the girls' locker room. However, his innocent heart suffers a heavy blow once again. When he flusteredly enters the locker room, the girls inside are instantly terrified. Radio feels dizzy and runs out in shame. His trust and kindness seem to collapse as he runs. Radio can't believe Johnny would invent such a reason to trick him. Fortunately, Jones always believes in Radio's character. Jones angrily asks who incited him to break into the locker room, but Radio refuses to say Johnny's name. He cannot bring himself to betray a classmate, nor does he want to ruin Johnny's reputation. Watching Radio being so cowardly, Johnny laughs triumphantly. Seeing this, Jones realizes who did it. He has always taught students to be upright and accountable, but Johnny hasn't listened to a word. Jones has never been this angry.
Son is one of those days I wish I wasn't a teacher so I could just bang into you right now.
Johnny thinks that since the football season is over, Jones can't do anything to him, so he is unscrupulous. But Jones vows to kick him off the basketball team. Johnny then remembers that Jones is not only the football coach, but also the school's athletic director. He has the power to decide the roster of school teams. After a school investigation, it is confirmed that Radio did not intentionally break into the girls' locker room. Although Radio is cleared, this makes Daniels worry again. She doesn't know if letting Radio into the school is a good thing. If Radio really causes trouble for students, not only can Jones not answer to the board, but even she cannot protect him. Just as they are lost in thought, Jones's daughter calls with an emergency. When Jones rushes home, his daughter reveals heartbreaking news. Radio's mother has died unexpectedly. Radio's home is in disarray, and he is kneeling on the ground, hugging his mother's photo and crying bitterly. He lost his father early, and his mother, who suffered from heart disease, struggled to raise him, only to die suddenly from overwork. For a moment, Jones doesn't know how to soothe the boy's wounded soul. All he can offer is patient listening and more comfort. Facing the hostility of the outside world and the injustice of fate, Radio maintains his initial kindness and purity, stubbornly fighting against the whole world. Since he has lost his mother's protection, he must become stronger. Although Johnny pranked him, Radio can see that Johnny's nature is not bad. So he actively writes a slightly scribbled apology letter and gives his cherished Radio to Johnny. This makes Johnny feel terrible. Upon learning of Radio's mother's death, he guiltily finds Radio but stammers, unable to say the words of apology. Seeing this, Radio breaks the ice. This tolerant and kind boy successfully touches Johnny, and Johnny begins to feel deep regret for his past behavior. Radio indicates he didn't take it to heart, then melts all the unhappiness between them with a warm and friendly smile. This should have been the best outcome, but the adults insist on interfering in the children's affairs. Johnny's father, Frank, severely accuses Radio. He doesn't care if his son was at fault first. He unreasonably argues that an intellectually disabled person cannot be compared to his precious son. Upon learning of Radio's mother's death, Frank even uses the excuse that Radio has no guardian to try and send him to a welfare institution. The school board listens and thinks it makes sense, as Radio is ultimately a hidden risk on campus.
What are you trying to do here, Frank? I'm afraid I don't understand. Yeah, you do. Calling the school board, making complaints about Radio? This is about you getting back at me for cracking down on your board, nothing more than that. Nah, but
the opposition from all sides makes Jones doubt himself. Although he has the ability to shelter Radio, he cannot change people's prejudice and ridicule. The root of all this is simply that Radio is intellectually disabled, a fact that cannot be changed. Jones worries that his help will not be effective but will instead push Radio into the abyss. Shrouded in these emotions, his wife gives him the necessary support and encouragement. Her gentle words soothe Jones's uneasiness, and he instantly regains his fighting spirit. Even if the road ahead is hard, as long as he does it firmly, he can definitely win a better future for Radio. Frank organizes a parent meeting, hoping to decide Radio's fate by vote. This is actually just a formality because most parents don't want to keep Radio. Seeing this, Jones resolutely chooses to resign from the team. If everyone believes Radio is a problem, then he will stay firmly by his side. And if Radio truly causes any kind of accident, Jones is willing to take full responsibility himself. Jones is not acting on impulse. He just wants to use this method to teach this cold society to accept special people. Jones's decision leaves the students' parents utterly shocked. They accuse him of being irresponsible, condemning him for heartlessly abandoning the team and walking away from his duties. Actually, Jones's decision is not just for Radio. Over the years, he spent all his time and energy on the team, completely ignoring his family. It is not until Radio appears that he suddenly realizes that life is not just about the honor of competition on the field. Accompanying his family and educating his children are the most precious treasures in his life. So he decides to spend the rest of his life loving his wife and making up for the missing care for his daughter. His decision protects Radio and allows him to pick up his responsibility to his family. Jones shows everyone what true sacrifice is and how to stick to one's beliefs and values in the face of difficulties and challenges. In the days that follow, Jones devotes himself wholeheartedly to education while staying by Radio's side. He not only teaches Radio to read and write from scratch, but also teaches him social skills and common sense. Time flies, and graduation season arrives. Under Jones's careful guidance, Radio, who was once looked down upon by everyone, stands on the podium as an outstanding graduate. Finally, Principal Daniels announces in public that Hannah High School will permanently hire Radio as a team assistant and not just limited to football. If it is the football off-season, he can work for other teams at any time. Seeing this, Jones can't help but feel deeply comforted. He has not only redeemed his own heart, but also fulfilled the promise he made to Radio's mother. It turns out there is no pain in the world that cannot be healed, and no sinking that cannot end. Everything lost will eventually return in another way. Time flies to 26 years later. At this moment, Radio is still running on that green field with the players, and Coach Jones, now over 70, has been inducted into the South Carolina Coaches Hall of Fame. Over these years, the two have maintained a close connection. This is a movie based on a true story. Principal Daniels' transformation from initial indifference to wholehearted dedication shows the warmth and kindness of humanity, letting us see the power of sincere emotions between people. Coach Jones, with brows furrowed under the pressure of life and a heart as desolate as a desert, still protected Radio like family. While helping Radio, he also broke down the walls between him and his family. Although Radio has intellectual deficits, he has a pure heart, like an angel. His appearance awakened Jones, changed Daniels, and touched the stubborn and mischievous Johnny. We are always chasing the light of the world, but we forget that the most moving light is often hidden in those neglected corners. What we call defects are just unique patterns carved by fate. What we call prejudice will eventually be melted by persistent kindness. Radio is like a wild grass growing toward the sun. Even if bent by the wind and rain, he always grows in the direction of the green field.